All right, well, our next talk is going to be about SZ4D, and Diana Roman is here to present.
Okay, hi everyone. Last talk of the day, I think, so bear with me.
There's two more,
Oh.
but we'll get a break.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, last talk before the break. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so what I want to do, I have a lot of slides, and I'm gonna blow through them fairly quickly at points. So basically, if you see something that catches your attention and you want to know more, come talk to me. I want to address, so SZ4D is this complex, ambitious beast with many different prongs. So I want to kind of just give you the overview again, tell you about some of the key prongs, opportunities for you, and mostly for the early career folks, highlight some upcoming opportunities that you should try to take advantage of, and also maybe some things this group might think about. So basically, I'm going to go through, let me just go forward. So Jeff already kind of did a nice job this morning of addressing SZ4D, but I do want to emphasize the word grassroots. It's SZ4D itself is a grassroots initiative, and we've had many groups that have kind of built themselves into SZ4D or built on top of what it is doing. And that is absolutely the point. So, you know, expand on what we're doing. There is no inside SZ4D or outside SZ4D really. You're welcome to like piggyback or build on what we do, and you should. I want to spend a little time on this figure because I think this addresses a lot of the most frequent questions that we get, which is basically what SZ4D is kind of today and going forward. And so a lot of attention gets put towards our $100 million infrastructure plan. Jeff covered that this morning. So I'm going to set that aside because I really want to highlight some of the other currently funded and pending things that SZ4D does that are just as important and that are actually happening. So one of the questions we get is, or you guys have been talking about SZ4D for 10 years. When is it ever going to start? It's started. NSF has invested over $5 million in this initiative over that 10 plus years. And we are now at a very exciting time where a lot of that total amount is going towards doing science rather than planning. So the point is SZ4D has started. And two, there is never going to be one like point at which SZ4D starts. There's never going to be one proposal. The way we are doing this is through a very complicated sort of dance with NSF and other partners to figure out how to make this happen, because it really is unprecedented, both in earth sciences, but in large initiatives like this. So I'm going to go through some of our funded things, spend most of my time on SZNet, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about what's in our Geohazard Center proposal. I'll try to keep it Alaska. I'll give you some Alaska details, but one of the things you might see is there's less Alaska in this than there is Chile or Cascadia. And so, you know, again, think about building on this. Think about how to add Alaska into it more. So I'm going to go through these. Starting with SZNet. So SZNet is our biggest funded proposal to date. It's $3 million. It's been active for a few years now. It is through a program called ExcelNet at NSF, which is basically a program to coordinate networks of networks. So we're trying to foster collaboration between SZ4D, which is a member of SZNet, and many other initiatives around the world that have interests in subduction zones. So it's really meant to kind of have an international conversation and activities among various groups that are interested in subduction geohazards. And there's plenty of space. These are our founding members. You have to be a formal network, which is a little tricky in the definition, but there's an open opportunity to join. Most of our efforts, though, most of the funding that we received is really focused on our special partnership between the United States and Chile. So we do some things through SZNet that are kind of worldwide, open broadly, and then some things that are really targeted towards the US-Chile collaboration. And I'll elaborate mostly on those, but I'll just try to highlight There's a lot of upcoming things that that are actually very germane to this group and that you should be aware of and think about how to take advantage of. So one of the things that we've done through SCNet is run 2 field trips. We have some of the field trip leaders, at least from our first trip in Cascadia in this room. And then we ran our second field trip this January in Chile. I was very fortunate to be on that. It was landslide focused primarily, but it was just a world-class field trip to learn about how all of the subduction zone geohazards, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, mass movements really work as a system and are really interconnected. It was phenomenal. It was also just a great way to appreciate the importance of geology and not just instrumentation. We have 2 more opportunities like this. So these were field trips. Now we're going to have 2 pilot projects. These will be more focused on actually kind of getting some work done as a group. We currently have a call out. I think it probably just hit your inbox a little while ago for proposals and leaders for a Cascadia 2025 pilot project. So what we're asking is that, like, if you're proposing to do this, you're also agreeing to lead it. And we will also be having a pilot project in Chile. But that will be a little later. So we're really focused now on trying to get some ideas for what to do with this Cascadia pilot project. The call for ideas and leaders is open now through June 9th. So think broadly here. And again, think about, we don't have Alaska funded, but if there were to be something like this in Alaska, what would it look like? Another thing that is been vastly oversubscribed, wildly popular, has been our Chile-US exchange program. So we've done 2 rounds of these so far. We have 2 more, including this current one. It's basically an opportunity for US and Chilean institutions to propose projects to host an early career researcher, and then applications from early career scientists to go in both directions. So Chileans to come work in a US institution and a US-based students to go and work in a Chilean institution. We tell NSF, like, it's ridiculously how oversubscribed, how much interest we get in these. So I know many of you probably put in a call or an application. Keep trying, because we can fund like 5 of these a year. And it's really good to have that kind of pressure. But we now have these. I just put up the Chilean opportunities to the applications for early career scientists to actually work with one of these Chilean partners. Will open later this week. It's a little volcano thin. So also go, like, find your friendly Chilean volcanologist and think about maybe next year, what kind of proposal might you come up with together to do this, because we'll have 1 more round of these. But they've been a really cool thing, and we're actively working on how to do more of these, because there's clearly a lot of interest here. We have international webinar series. The next one in June is by Sean Gallen, who's a tectonic geomorphologist. You want to give a talk to an international audience? Suggest a topic, nominate yourself. We have all of these archived as well. So that's SCNet. We have a few more smaller, what we call targeted projects that have been funded. The first 2 of which, and I want to emphasize this, are really focused on kind of coordinated or collaborative field geologic efforts. So, we know that big instrumental campaigns, you've got to work together, you've got to coordinate. We have more of that experience in infrastructure, but getting a team out to sort of do coordinated geologic mapping or sample collection is something that we're trying to sort of support, how to develop best practices, how to do that. So one of these funded proposals is through NSF RISE, and is a partnership between GeoArray, which is our sort of geoscience or geology field consortium within SZ4D, and that's one of the grassroots self-organized groups, and StraboSpot. And the goal is basically to adapt the StraboSpot platform, which is cyber infrastructure support for geologic field data, to actually let people work as a group in the field and kind of share and coordinate through the app in real time, or at least while they're in the field. And then we also have funded through NSF. Another effort that is basically aimed at looking at kind of almost from a social science or an observational perspective at how do these teams work best in the field and what are the best practices when you have people who might know an area really well and people who are new to that area, or people who have, you know, decades of mapping experience and people who are first year grad students. How do you actually get them to work effectively as a team? So those are the types of things that we're kind of also doing because we really want to have geology be a big piece of SC4D. And then we have another funded project that's starting to do some work to actually get to the multi-hazard problem. So to try to couple models of solid earth and surface processes, for example. So stitching together modeling frameworks that traditionally treated things as sort of happening in a vacuum, but how do we actually start to build multi-hazard models of the full subduction zone system? And these are things that, you know, small PI teams came up with, and we will provide letters of support, collaboration as appropriate on behalf of SC4D. But we've also seen a lot of people just take a piece of the implementation plan and run with it, and we cheer that on. Please do it. There's too much to do. So I want to spend a few minutes talking about our Geohazard Center proposal. So we have been advised that like Converse, we also put in for a track 2 Geohazard Center proposal. And we've been advised that hopefully, or the word on the street is that we should hear something about that proposal soon. But we are cautious. Well, we are aware that there are other very strong proposals in this category out there, but I just wanted to highlight a little bit about what we're doing in this proposal. So this is a $15 million proposal over 5 years. Again, really focusing on interconnected hazards in context, and the idea that by looking at the interactions between, say, earthquakes and landslides, you can learn something about the physics of the individual hazard by seeing how it responds to kind of an external perturbation. So that's the theme, and we've kind of developed that into a set of coordinated major activities. And while the nature of these Geohazard Center proposals has individual PIs on the proposal doing a lot of the major effort, one aspect of our Geohazard Center, if funded, would be that we will have seed grants that are open to the community to take on parts of the work that's defined in the proposal. So the objective, again, is SC4D is everybody. And we're really trying to come up with opportunities to kind of help people get involved in things, even if you've never heard of SC4D before. There are a lot of people in this room. I was not heavily involved in this proposal. As you heard from Jeff, I'm the PI of the infrastructure, so that's where 99% of my time goes these days. But there are a lot of people who contributed to this. Any of you who are involved in our Geohazard Center proposal, can you raise your hands? I know there's some of you. Yeah, okay. And I think quite a few people who may not be in the room but are in the Alaska community. So it's a big effort, and we'll hopefully know a little more in the coming months. So what are we doing, and specifically what are we doing in Alaska? So we're trying to basically look at interconnected hazards, sort of pairing them. So like landslide, volcanic eruption, or earthquake, volcanic eruption, or so on, in our 3 different focus areas: Chile, Cascadia, and Alaska. We're not really proposing field work in Alaska, but we do have a major focus in the proposal at Redoubt Volcano as a pair to Mount Hood and Nevado de Chillán to look at landscape response to volcanic eruptions. So one major set of activities towards this is to basically do and actually Prevents here is a really nice model for kind of combing the literature, combing the data, finding all of the information that's available to kind of target towards this problem. And then as a second major activity, sort of building on that idea of starting to couple modeling codes to kind of take our eruption models, our flow models, and then how a landslide scientist might think about it, and really try to parameterize, calibrate those models, and really try to understand the physics of the system and what happens to a watershed if you dump a bunch of volcanic ash with certain characteristics in it, and try to then generalize from looking at 3 different places, 3 different settings where this has occurred, and we think we have reasonable observations. So that's our center proposal. The final part of this talk, I don't know how I'm on time, but I'm trying to go fast, and again, follow up with me. Again, okay, perfect. That's perfect. Okay, so our website is extremely active. We know that there's a lot of stuff going on within SZ4D, so our website is very highly up to date. Shout out to Anais Farrow, Juliette So, and Dana White, who are our staff. So you can always find it there, but just to highlight some things that especially the early career scientists, I think would hope you find useful. We now have a scientist matchmaking survey. So this is cool because we've gotten a lot of response to it. And the idea is basically you can kind of put yourself into this database. You only get access to see who else is in. It's like, I'm old. I was pre-Tinder, I don't know, Tinder or whatever. But you only get to swipe up or down if you put yourself out there. But the idea is it's like, hey, I want to go work on a volcano problem in Chile. Who do I talk to? And you swipe, and then all of a sudden, there's Carlos, and you swipe right. What's the good one? So anyway, so this is we're recording, aren't we? Okay, so take the survey on our website. There's been a lot of response to this, and the idea is just to find new collaborators, which is part of what we're trying to do with this workshop. Also, something new we have that I think is really cool is we have a science hub. So come show off your science. Give us a science nugget. Doesn't have to be published, doesn't have to be something you'll ever publish, just something really cool. Contribute it through our website. We have a quarterly newsletter. We'll feature it on the website. Feature it in the newsletter, just little snippets. This is something we do in our committee meetings. We start off with science nuggets, and it just turns out, especially in these days, it's great to hear about all the things that people are doing and learning. SC4 grads, it's a bit of a misnomer because it's open to early career scientists as well. Is sort of the ECI corner. They're very active. Again, another self-organized group. They've done various things. For networking and interaction. They did a great bilingual web series. Just starting next month, they're going to have a writing group. So if you're trying to find writing buddies and accountability, I just noticed this. So take a look for that and sign up and go write with other colleagues around the world who are also at the early career stage. It's bilingual, multilingual again. Chance to practice in other languages, talk to the group. Okay, we will have a presence as usual at AGU, still kind of defined, but one thing that also just went out today in your email, we have had calls for mini workshops the day before AGU. Usually we try to do 2 half-day workshops for a subduction zone interested community. We had a really nice one on experimental petrology last year that now has kind of got that group moving forward. We've had others. So if you guys want to have a half-day follow-up to this meeting the day before AGU, or maybe even a full day, that call just opened today. And so we provide the space, the logistics. It's pretty nice meeting space for a group about this size. So think about that. We'll again have our mixer and opportunity to meet people, talk science. The last thing I want to announce is we are just starting to kind of refine this, but I think we all want to talk science, not plan doing science. So we will be hosting a community science meeting on subduction zone science sometime next spring through SC4D funding, open to everyone. It will have various kind of themes or sessions based on, the earthquake folks, landslide folks, some interaction there. We'll probably put a call out for topics. I'm not sure if anybody's, maybe we have an organizing committee, but again, I'm supposed to, oh, there you go. Finish. Okay, done. Okay, so keep your radar up for that. It should be a great chance to talk subduction zones. Thank you.
Any questions?
think we're great.
So many great opportunities, they're still digesting.
I mean, just to comment,
Yes,
you said this morning, Madison, that this meeting
yeah,
came out of a mini workshop, right?
yep, and
Exactly
then
one of these mini workshops. that
we
you
did one of these
spoke
mini workshops, and then this was the idea, so we wrote an NSF grant, and then we did one on experimental petrology this last December. And now we're trying to do essentially a EMPG US edition proposal for next year as well. So they are very fruitful for getting a community together that might not have found funds yet to organize themselves to get things launched off the ground.
We kind of prefer to view it as like an incubator, but it also, you know, it's a good opportunity for groups that need kind of that follow-up.
Yeah.
To keep kind of moving on in this progression.
Yeah, so for instance, even this workshop, if you're thinking of AGU, you could think about proposing a way of like, let's get back together and have a half day where we share what each group has worked on and share how that has progressed. It could be fun. It shows what's different.